perhaps at last, we will finish this investigation. It, I don't know if it's just insanely long or it is just me, but I mean, we've had a scene in 221B Baker Street, then we had fucking, uh, what's his face, the minister scene, Strongheart scene, then we had prison scene, Van Zyke scene, and then we had the two scenes, Lestrade and Gregson at the exhibition. That's 6 scenes. Then we go to Madame Tussauds, and that's 7 scenes. And we're probably going to have to go back to the prison at the end. So 8 fucking scenes in this investigation. I don't know if that's longer, how much longer that is than usual, but they're normally surely not this long. This is now the 3rd street, but it's not bad. I mean, I can't complain when there was that Van Zyke scene. Like, I have no right to complain. My throat is not any better than it was yesterday, but I'm gonna power through it. Because, why not? Madame, 2 spells. She's probably going to be the defendant in the next case, right? Surely. He's not even blinking now. He is a perfect model of a waxwork model. I know it always doesn't... Fuck me. I know it doesn't always seem like it, but Hurley's quite a perfectionist, in fact. He practices at night sometimes instead of sleeping. Not blinking, I mean. Well, practice makes perfect, I suppose. I've just realised, though, seeing him standing over there now. He looks like he's that murderer's accomplice, doesn't he? Or henchman, even. That's news to someone, by the look of it. Right. Madame, there's something I'd like to show you. Fuck, this voice is difficult. Especially with this fucking... Yeah, sure. Yes, what is that? I remarked on it to myself immediately, and I've been very curious since. Ah, well, it's actually the mark of a defense lawyer in the Empire of Japan. Oh, quel dommage. Not quite as interesting as I'd hoped. What exactly were you expecting from an armband? Could I show you this? Oh, how fascinating. Is this made of wax? No, sorry. It's a piece of evidence. Why would you want to show me this? Can she can only wax lyrical about wax, is that it? Maybe I should take a cetirizine. Dun, 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 dun. Take away the... You know what? I will take a sterazine, I think. Ah. These stairs obviously lead to the stage above. We should go up there and investigate the exact spot where the experiment was being conducted. Is the forensic guys up there yet? No? Okay. Did you make all these waxworks, Madame Tuspels? I did. I am the third generation of waxwork artisans, you know. Gosh! Fuck, you know, doing Iris's voice. I wasn't too bad at it yesterday, all things considered, but now I just can't. It was my grandmother who began the tradition in my family. Her fortunes were checkered, living through the turbulent times of the French Revolution as she did. Though that is when she acquired the savoir-faire that leads to the astonishing lifelikeness. All these waxworks really do look as though they're alive. In fact, they look more alive than Hurley. Hehe. What you see exhibited here represents the most atrocious of London's criminal past. All the waxworks were created in the presence of the real people on which they are modelled. In the hours immediately following their executions. That is the secret to the extraordinary lifelikeness. That sounds terrifying. Ugh, fucking hell. I think I might be out of my sore throat stuff. And I don't think it would help this anyway. All walks of life have similar challenges, I'm sure. To carry out one's trade par excellence, one must go to extraordinary lengths. My exhibits are a reflection of society. I create only that which the public wishes to see. Ugh, why couldn't the public have wished for something else? Do not fear. Sorry? This room is the only one in the museum with such a macabre theme. I do hope you'll explore. There are models of famous singers, actors, politicians. Something for every taste, I hope. It was Iris who dragged me straight in here, come to think of it. Sorry. Perhaps I should have eased you into things. What's the situation with that?
Oh, my temporary waxwork model. He approached me some days ago, you see, with a business.
No, fuck me.
Bien sûr, he approached me some days ago, you see, with a business proposal.
Oh, what sort of a proposal?
My dear madame, what these sparse exhibits need is the attention of a world-famous great detective.
Or words to that effect. Naturally, I am well aware of that Mr. Sholmes is widely known in London as a talented detective.
It's great detective, actually. He's very specific about it.
Yes, the la creme de la creme.
Oh, fuck me. I just can't do it.
Yes. Yes, the creme de la creme. So I was keen to come to some arrangement with him, of course. But sadly, we were unable to agree terms.
Let me guess, someone wanted to charge an exorbitant price for his services.
For a mere £500, I will dive into your cauldron of wax at this very moment.
Or words to that effect.
Mr. Sholmes might have overdone it slightly with the sales pitch.
Regrettably, the museum has a shortage of funds at the moment, due to unforeseen circumstances. So we came to a current arrangement instead.
Surely he doesn't really need to do what he's doing, though, does he?
I would think not, but he was very insistent. He was very insistent.
I have a 50-shilling problem that must be resolved by the morning.
Or words to that effect. It's the pawnbroker, that's what it is. He must have something to redeem.
Is the consulting detective work not going so well? I wonder, could I ask you something?
Bien sûr.
I'm just curious, is anything going on in the museum at the moment? Some kind of incident, perhaps?
Whoever suggested such a thing to you?
Oh, well, it was your temporary waxwork over there who mentioned it to me a little... Oh, he's disappeared.
A wax model? A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry...
No, that's shown, right?
A wax model is a work of art, not some tawdry object for trade.
Ah. There you are.
Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working? Do you wish to be melted down?
Do you wish to be... fuck me. Why can't I do this voice?
Leaving the exhibit again when you should be working? Do you wish to be melted down?
My dear Madame to spare, save your reprimands. There are more pressing concerns. The wax can wait. It's our ideas about your current problem that we must throw into the melting pot instead. Personally, I would advise you not to involve the police.
Why ever not?
She's turned as white as a sheet.
Because you have at your disposal a great detective, whose services you may employ for a mere 50 shillings. Though please be aware that I prefer. No, I insist upon payment in advance.
Very well. Very well. Very, fuck. Very well. I can't do the sound with the I can't do it. I can usually. Very well. Let us see if the great detective is able to live up to his name, shall we?
Before I engage my analytical prowess, I must ask you to clarify something. What, pray, is behind the curtain?
Oh, that is the To Spell special exhibit. There is an extra charge to see it.
Ah, the special exhibit in the House of Horrors. It must depict a serial killer then, I presume. Would you be so kind as to draw back the curtain, I wonder?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolument no. There is nothing amiss behind there.
Nothing amiss, madame. What about the arm protruding ominously from under the curtain?
Oh,
I strongly encourage you to allow me to see what lies beyond, before the situation worsens.
yes, very well. I will draw back the curtains, but only a soupçon. Soupçon. Number 139.
I must confess, I peeked behind the curtain earlier. The To Spell special exhibit is a very bleak graveyard scene indeed. And yet, somewhat surprisingly, the waxwork killer one would expect is nowhere to be seen. What does strike one, however?
He's... not the first Mr. Foreman. They reused his model again. It's just like, oh, we need a victim. Let's use that guy.
Is the portly gentleman lying peacefully on his back on the floor?
Well then perhaps, Mr. Sholmes, that man on the floor is the ruthless killer himself.
I'm afraid not, my dear fellow. He's a perfectly ordinary London gentleman. Not even a waxwork, in fact.
What?
As skillfully made as these waxworks are, they are always distinguishable from real humans. So allow me to present my true conundrum. So allow me to present my true conclusions. The first is that a sizable business transaction has been taking place in this special exhibit.
Why would you say that?
And the second is that the aforementioned transaction is linked to a serious crime.
Ah! She looks as pale as candle wax. I don't understand.
So, Madame to Spells, as you've agreed to my fee, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag.
I noticed that, actually.
In my estimation, some £200.
That is all my own money.
So what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance you cast. It would not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Madame Tuspells. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the £200 is revealed by that public notice. Waxwork for sale. Your business has hit hard times, it would seem. In short, you sold the infamous killer, the centerpiece of your special exhibit, for the sum of £200.
No.
Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear that the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you.
Ah,
Unfortunately, Madame, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the £200. It would appear that you twisted this gentleman around your little finger most effectively.
what are you suggesting?
He rashly agreed to purchase the waxwork for the sum of £200. Only when he came to hand the money over did it occur to him what an extortionate amount he was paying. The money was no longer in his hands. And the result, the scene we see before us, he collapsed in shock. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit fetched a killer price. I can only pray that this gentleman's dreams are not plagued with regret. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment.
You cannot possibly.
What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief. Such as is worn by policemen as a secret sign to fellow members of the force that a crime is being perpetrated. Yes, this young man is an undercover policeman, currently investigating this museum. I know him well, in fact. It's Sergeant John Clay.
What are you talking about?
The man's quite a celebrity. He's received triple accolades at last year's policing awards.
What the...
Next, we turn our attention to the old man sat before him, with a particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle. Almost in fact, as if he were a waxwork.
Oh, but you...
Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madame. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe. The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious price tag. Tuppence. A tragically low price, you might say. Though perhaps the going rate for aging waxworks riddled with cracks. And yet you sold it to the portly gentleman for an exorbitant £200. The sort of plucky behaviour that's sure to attract the attention of Scotland Yard. Isn't that so, madame?
I do not.
Yes, the waxwork you sold has already been seized by the police and remains in their custody as we speak. The old man must be reunited with his grave in the special exhibit, and not a moment too soon. This concludes Sherlock Holmes's great deduction of this horrifying puzzle. I see I've stunned you all into silence.
You have, Erla, you have. And you've obviously upset this young lady in the process. Her cauldron looks awfully hot.
If I could just bring up one point, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, the notorious Naruhodo 1 point. I'm all ears, my dear fellow.
According to your deduction, then the special exhibit featured this old policeman. So that would mean that he's the particularly ruthless murderer, wouldn't it?
The killer policeman, Otomo.
Sorry?
It was a mysterious series of murders that rattled the capital. Only last year. The police rushed to the scene every time, only to find the culprit had disappeared into the ether.
And it turned out the culprit was a policeman himself, a senior officer by the name of Otomo.
So you mean that's who the sinister-looking old man there is supposed to be?
Indeed, it is a particularly grim face, is it not? Unforgettable, in fact. Yes, I remember that odious countenance only too well.
But is £200? But is £200 a lot of money for a wax model?
It would be enough to afford one of the latest steam carriages, if that puts things into perspective.
So it is quite a lot then.
Is there anything else you wish to add? Before I melt you down?
That bubbling wax is looking more and more ominous.
Oh, the smell of all that molten wax is starting to worry me.
Mr. Sholmes did more or less just accuse her to her face, so I think I might have to call on your assistance here, Iris. Is that all right? Make some minor corrections to the great detective's great deductions.
Of course it's all right. We'll soon set things straight. Of course it's all right. We'll soon set things straight.
Well, let's get started then, shall we? Before Madame Tuspels vents her anger.
Just what I was waiting to hear, my dear fellow. So, Madame Tuspels, in accordance with our agreement, you shall now have the pleasure of seeing this famously great detective and temporary exhibit at work. To begin with, we must ask ourselves what exactly is afoot here in this museum. The answer is revealed by the bundle of banknotes protruding so helpfully from your bag. My estimation, some £200.
That is all my own money.
So what does this large sum of money reveal? Ah, not as much as the involuntary glance you cast, it would seem, Mr. Spells. Yes, the answer lies where your eyes now fall. The significance of the £200 is revealed by that public notice.
She definitely looked in this direction, it's true. Fuck me. But I'm not sure she'd sell any of her waxworks, even for £200. Oh? She must pour her heart and soul into making them, don't you think? Over and above the wax. If it were me, I wouldn't sell them for anything. Iris has a cold. For that much money, I would. It sounds like that makes me a bad person. Well, anyway, I wonder if the £200 could have some other significance. Let's follow that furtive glance again and see if there's anything else that can explain it. Waxworks for sale? Would anyone really buy models of mass murderers? I think I'd rather have £200 in my pocket. Exactly. You could buy one of those brand new types of steam carriage. That's what I'd spend it on if I had it, no question. Oh, I'd buy all the herbs in the world. Must be another explanation for the money. We must keep looking. I wonder what it could be. It seems that this well-dressed gentleman is alive after all. Not just alive and kicking. And he's not a waxwork or a model of a mass murderer. I'm not sure I'd pay £200 for him. I don't think the man's up for sale. Well, anyway, it was a silly place to put him. Other museum visitors could easily trip. I don't think the man was put there on purpose either. What's that note pinned on the wall there? Oh yes, let's see. Dear Madame Tuspels, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for his safe return is £200. Have the money ready at noon on the 23rd of October. What? Fuck me. This is just like the sort of thing that's left behind when someone's kidnapped. Yes, it's a ransom note. Exactly. Dear Madame Tuspels, we've taken the prisoner from this room. The price for his safe return is £200. Have the money ready by noon on the 23rd of October. You can't deny, that's a very well-written ransom note. Clear and concise. The ransom amount is £200.
Take that!
Take that! Ooh! Thank you for my new costume, Iris. The significance of that £200 is revealed by that ransom note.
Quite so, and we must congratulate these criminals on their inventiveness, abducting a waxwork.
Oh.
£200 is no small ransom fee, yet you clearly intend to pay it.
The model in question has special importance, so I put together all the money I had.
In summary then, £200 you have in your handbag is ransom money. Now, let us explore the next curiosity with which we are presented. Who is the portly gentleman stretched out so peacefully on the floor? It would appear the man has suffered a severe shock, the cause of which is clearly known to you.
Ah.
Unfortunately, madame, keeping secrets does not appear to be your forte. What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the £200.
So if the waxwork was kidnapped, where does that leave us in terms of who this man is? Fuck. We could just ask him when he comes around. I think the point of this exercise is to understand the beauty of the deduction process, Iris. Yes, you're right. Hurley's trying so hard. We mustn't let him down. Well, there's little doubt that he suffered a shock. That much seems clear. But in that case, what's Madame Tuspel's trying to hide? Let's have a closer look around. She's trying to hide her face. Madame Tuspels has very long hair, doesn't she? Yes, but you couldn't tell looking at her from the front. You know, it looks rather like a whip, don't you think? The sort of whip that could have floored the gentleman with a single crack. That seems a little far-fetched, even for you, Rono. They're not these? So she was prepared to pay all that money to get her waxwork back again? It really must have been a very special model. Of a mass murderer? Just how special can the model of a ruthless killer be? Well, anyway, we can be fairly sure that the man lying on the floor didn't take it. I suppose we should leave him in peace. What am I missing? Oh. Wow. This is just Madame Tuspel's right hand, isn't it? Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all. Oh, but wait a minute. This is a left hand as well, look. Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please. And it seems very stiff too. In fact, it's really hard. You mean it's made of wax? This is just Madame Tuspel's right hand, isn't it? Yes, it must be. I can clearly see her left hand after all. Oh, but wait a minute. This is the left hand as well, look. Don't say such creepy things, Iris, please. And it seems very stiff too. In fact, it's really hard. You mean it's made of wax? No different dialogue the second time. Okay.
Take that!
Take that! What dealt the man such a shocking blow was, of course, the waxwork hand.
Indeed, with a solid waxwork limb, one could deliver a very substantial blow.
How could you? The hand protruding from the bottom of your cape. It ought to be a right hand, but closer inspection reveals that it is in fact a left hand. Ah!
And somewhat masculine as well. In other words, it does not belong to you, madame. It's the hand of a waxwork model.
Yeah! Oh, it's the hand of the detective model. Some of the visitors to my museum can be troublesome. They meddle with the exhibits, cause damage. So you mean that arm? Yes, this gentleman saw fit to try and remove it as a souvenir.
No small keepsake.
Like taking a whole branch of a cherry tree when you go to view the blossoms.
I'm afraid I had to teach the man a lesson.
You confronted the man and tried to take the arm back.
And the result, the scene we see before us. He was knocked unconscious. A point we may need to revisit later. For the time being, we have our conclusion. Yes, the killer in this special exhibit has been kidnapped. The question that arises then is what has become of the waxwork that changed hands? Let us consider that problem for a moment.
You cannot possibly.
What immediately strikes me about this conundrum is the young man standing over there. Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe his neckerchief.
According to Mr. Sholmes, the yellow neckerchief is a sign to other policemen that some crime is underway.
A way of communicating with his colleagues without revealing his identity. Yes. It's a secret that's closely guarded by Scotland Yard.
That Mr. Sholmes didn't hesitate to give away.
Well, uncovering secrets is any true detective's nature, of course.
Right, anyway, judging from Madame de Spell's reaction to Mr. Sholmes' deduction, I think perhaps we might not have identified the man quite correctly. Missing arm. The secret scarf is to warn other agents of ongoing crime.
I know. It sounds so thrilling, doesn't it? Maybe I'll try to work it into next month's instalment.
Then the police's secret will be revealed to all of London's 6 million inhabitants.
Well, I'll just have to come up with a new sign, I suppose.
How does this 10-year-old manage to have such a terrifying influence? I've seen hats like this in Japan as well. They're called flat caps, aren't they?
Yes, or hunting caps. Early's hat is called a deerstalker, by the way.
Hunting, stalking. British certainly seem keen on catching game. Every time I see a deerstalker, I automatically think of Mr. Sholmes. The flat cap makes me think of a Japanese country gentleman somehow. In other words, people from all walks of life wear all different types of hat. But that really doesn't help us. What the? Man, there's a stub sticking out of his shoulder where his arm should be.
Oh, well, that settles that then.
Right, this isn't a real person at all.
His entire arm's been ripped off, from the shoulder down.
His arm's been... Of course, that ties with what we just found out.
Take that!
Take that! Who is this fellow? To find the answer, we need only observe that his shoulder stub.
No such boneless human walks this earth. Of that I can assure you. In other words, the man standing here, the young Sergeant John Clay, is in fact, defying all odds, a waxwork model.
I seem to remember it was Hugh who concluded he was a real person in the first place, Mr. Sholmes.
He has become quite a celebrity in London, being the winner of no less than 3 policing awards last year. Yeah, I simply had to make a model of the man.
Naturally, what other explanation could there be?
And it was this detective's arm that was pulled off by the man on the floor in the special exhibit, wasn't it?
Next, we turn our attention to the old man set before him with the particularly unsightly visage. I've been watching closely, and he hasn't moved a muscle. Almost as if he were a waxwork.
Oh, but you...
Your reaction only confirms my suspicions, madame. I noticed it at once, of course. Observe! The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious price tag.
The killer policeman, called Ottomole, was it? Was he well known? It was all over the papers last year. I can't say I know what he looks like. It's very low price, though. Threepence isn't much money. Only enough for a few measly hours of gas in Mr. Garradob's delightful lodgings, in fact. So this is the special killer, taken from the special exhibit, is it? The waxwork that somebody stole from the museum and tried to ransom for £200. Is this crusty old policeman Ottomole? Really? Perhaps we should have a good look around again and see if another idea crops up. £3? It's a far cry from £200, isn't it? For threepence, you could buy it and put it on display in your room, Bruno. I think I'd rather not go to sleep behind being watched by an old man, if it's all the same to you. This price tag does stand out, doesn't it? I mean, you couldn't even buy the helmet on his head for that much money, I don't think. I wonder what the price tag's really for, then. Yeah. I don't believe it. It's the secret sign that lets other detectives know some criminal activity is underway. Yes, it's a slightly strange choice of outfit he was trying to go and... Fuck me. Yes, it's a slightly strange choice of outfit if he was trying to go unnoticed. Ah, he must be a detective disguised as a policeman. Or a detective disguised as a waxwork model of a policeman. He doesn't look like he's clever enough to think of something like that, though. Perhaps you should try to be a little more polite about him, Iris. Look at this! The old man's tapping his foot like crazy. He seems to be fast asleep, though. He's not tapping his foot consciously, then? So you mean... Must be a twitch. Never mind that. The point is, waxworks don't tap their feet. Or twitch. Look at his arm, too. We've seen a scarf like that somewhere else around here, haven't we? Have we? That's like, what's his face's scarf, right? From chapter 4, last time. Rolly. Rolly B. There we go.
Take that!
Take that! The telltale sign that instantly proves whether or not this old man is a waxwork is the obvious twitch.
Even the most realistic waxworks do not exhibit a twitch. In other words, this splendid old man is in fact a genuine member of Scotland Yard.
Slight shift in your choice of adjectives, then.
And there you have it. Well, Madame Tuspells.
Well, what? It was me who contacted the police and demanded that someone come in the first place. He is clearly fatigued. He's sound asleep. But then, what's this tag about showing a price of 3 pence?
No doubt the price tag is of...
Oh, fuck.
No doubt the price tag of the muffler which the old Bobby purchased recently at a local market. And I presume you've observed the scarf tied around his arm. Does that not strike you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, the secret sign used by detectives to show that some criminal activity is underway. Of course, because, as you know, there has just been such criminal activity happening here. As you deduced from the very beginning, Detective.
So it would seem that we finally arrived at the truth.
The waxworks of the especially ruthless killer from the special exhibit has been kidnapped.
And Scotland Yard are already investigating. The model's whereabouts remain a mystery. Thus concludes Aleks Holmes's great deduction of this horrifying puzzle.
All sorts of, bien sûr, all sorts of people visit my museum here. Men and women, young and old. Sometimes they drop in for a short time on their way back from the pub. I welcome them all. But if anyone tries to damage my exhibits, I do not take it lightly.
Fuck me. I'm not even gonna try.
Anyway. Your great deduction was even more enchanting than I have been led to believe.
The sound of winding things up in this music is very apt.
It was a pleasure, my dear madame. I'm gratified that you enjoyed the spectacle. And as for your rough customer, I've no doubt he'll regain consciousness shortly and return home. What concerns me more is the waxwork from the special display, if it were indeed genuinely abducted.
Oh. Oh. The waxwork looked like him. That's how Hairbrain did his trick. Odie Asman, ow, the real person. The real person was already in the Crystal Tower. Hairbrain just had the model in the machine, pressed the button, and made the model waxwork disappear. I think. Although the public doesn't know that he's a boss of a large criminal organization, right? Whereas, in order for that exhibit to be him, she would have to know that he's a serial killer? But he's not a serial killer, he's the head of a criminal organization. Maybe it's a bit of a stretch.
Yes, tragically, it was.
Then, fuck. Then I would ask you to recount to us the events surrounding the stolen waxwork. In as much detail as possible, if you please.
Very well. But after I have told you what I know, I must insist that you return to your work.
The talents of a great detective could be put to better use, I feel. But as you wish.
Dun, dun, dun. It's just a collapsed man.
At least it turned out he's not one of the mass murderers' victims.
True, but he is one of the Waxworks victims in a way, isn't he?
He's not shown any signs of life.
Because he really is dead.
Come on, you're always pointing that finger of yours in court. Poke that arm and see how it feels.
Objection! Tell us more about the stolen waxwork, please.
It was some days ago now, when I came in here to... Bien sûr, it was some days ago now, when I came in here to...
Fuck me.
Bien sûr, je m'appelle Madame Tuspel. It was some days ago now, when I came in here one morning, I immediately noticed that a waxwork was missing from this special exhibit here. Here.
It's hard to say here in that accent. Or maybe I'm just bad at it. Not as bad as my Scottish accent though.
Here. Here.
I mean, here.
Yeah. Higher. Here. 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 Is it your most prominent It is your most prominent display, so that's why the curtains were closed. And I found the ransom note in its place.
The culprit must have broken in during the night and taken it then.
So this waxwork that was stolen, it was a model of some horrible criminal, I suppose. Of a particularly horrible criminal, in fact. The killer who left a more profound scar on society than any other, I would say.
The Professor. Not a name I've heard of.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, it seems the circle is complete.
Sorry?
The Professor case happened at around the time I was born, didn't it?
Indeed it did, Iris. 10 years ago, a series of murders that rocked the capital.
10 years ago?
Yes, at exactly that time. That Barak Van Zykes graduated from university, in fact.
What? Surely he's not saying.
So the big event that changed Mr. Raper's life?
As you surmised, it was the Professor case.
Who was this Professor then?
It was a series of gruesome murders that had all of London gripped in terror a decade ago. Bien sûr, after 5 victims were killed, the man was arrested and put to death.
And now he's immortalized here in wax for all Londoners to admire and enjoy. Though, of course, he happens to be absent at present on account of the abduction.
I don't understand. How is all this related to Lord Van Zykes?
You must first understand, my dear fellow, why it is that the Professor earned such infamy. It was due to the victims he chose, some of Whitehall's finest.
Hmm.
Do you mean early?
Those murdered by the Professor were some of the highest members of the British aristocracy. Members of the nobility, even royalty. It sent shockwaves through the country's administration.
Members of the... Ah, wait, of course. What Professor Harebrained said. Lord Van Zykes is from a family with noble blood. Oh, gosh.
It was the fifth victim that led to the Professor's arrest. The last of the killer's prey was a young noble by the name of Clint Van Zykes.
No, I don't believe it. Van Zykes.
I'm sure you can piece together the rest for yourself. In the wake of his older brother's murder, the young Baroque pursued a career as a prosecutor, and eventually became the Reaper we know today.
I had no idea Lord Van Zykes had such a tragic past.
Well, I'm afraid that's all I can say on the matter. For the time being, at least. After all, I have work to do. As a waxwork exhibit.
Van Zykes theme plays.
Dun, 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 dun. I'm afraid I will have to excuse myself. Yeah, sure. I'm afraid that I will have to excuse myself as well. Oh, yes, of course. It's been a pleasure, thank you. Hasn't been a pleasure to do your voice, that's for sure. Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analysing involved you coming to visit me here. Well, none of the... What was his voice again? Well, none of the predicted scenarios I've been analysing involved you coming to visit me here. It's been too long, it really has. I'm delighted to see you, Baroque.
It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places.
Fucking hell.
It's been 10 years, and here we are, meeting in a prison of all places.
I can't forgive myself for what happened to Mr. Asman. I just can't. I still can't believe it could happen.
Tomorrow, the court will decide.
Yes. I have a young Eastern man acting for my defence. He seems reliable enough now, though. It was an accident, a terrible accident. He assures me he can prove it.
I must warn you.
Oh, I know, I've heard already. You're going to be prosecuting, aren't you?
Yes.
Since I returned to England, I've heard lots of stories. Baroque, are you really?
What?
Never mind. I know that you have my best interests at heart.
My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else. My friend is on trial. I wouldn't entrust it to anybody else.
Of course, I fully understand. Thank you, Baroque.
Until tomorrow, then, I'll see you in court.
There we go, finally. That's a good place to end it. I might take a break until my sore throat isn't... Well, it's not even sore. My throat is just crammed full of crap. Da, 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 da. Dun 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 dun. All right then, that shall be it for today. Bye bye.